You're listening to The Stephen Tauriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Stephen Tauriello Show. And now, here's Stephen.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. So, scrolling through the news just a little bit ago, getting some material for the show, and I come across this article, a hat tip to Jim Hoft. I freaking love Jim Hoft, man. This guy, he is on fire. Former U.S. Senator and foreign diplomat threatened to kick the shit out of Joe Biden for groping his wife. So apparently this happened a long time ago, and so former Senator and U.S. diplomat Scott Brown told podcaster Tom Shattuck, I don't know who that is, told podcaster Tom Shattuck this week that he warned Joe Biden he would kick the shit out of him if he groped his wife and TV announcer Gail Huff. Oh, shit. Senator Brown was sworn in by Joe Biden on February 4th, 2010. So this is a while ago, which just goes to show that Joe Biden has always been like this, as far as like the groping of women and sniffing and whispering in ears, all that weird stuff. And it really does freak people out, especially women. I know it does my wife. So there is no better example of this obvious abuse than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is widely known to grope, caress, and sniff women and children in public. There is no better example of this obvious abuse than Joe Biden. He even groped a little boy on camera not that long ago. So typically, I'm not, I don't want to, it's kind of weird because I feel like I've always respected the presidency. I've always respected whoever was in there. But Joe Biden makes it so hard, man, because this guy is just not a good guy. He's not. And you know what? Every time I say that, it reminds me of how Democrats talked about Donald Trump. They would say these things like, oh, he's disgusting, he's orange, he's, you guys know all the shit talking that the Democrats used to do about Donald Trump. And I don't want to stoop down to their level. But again, Joe Biden makes it so hard because you look at this guy and who he is, you do research on Joe Biden and the situations in the past, and there is some shady stuff that Joe Biden has done in the past. And my man Dan Bongino, I think everybody knows he's a former Secret Service agent, and there was a rumor going around, that Joe Biden would walk around naked in front of the Secret Service agents. And at one day, there was a woman Secret Service agent. Well, she filed a complaint. The complaint never made it to the right authorities. They never made it up to the supervisory position. And so nothing happened. Or I think they maybe did an internal investigation or something. I don't know. Dan didn't go into a whole lot of details. But this is who Joe Biden is. Joe Biden is not a good person. So he is, like I've always said, the ultimate definition of a crooked politician. This man puts off this persona, and he is really good at it. Like he's just good old lunch bucket Scranton Joe. He's a middle class guy that came from nothing, rose from the streets, and now is fighting for the American middle class. It's like it's such a bad joke, and like we're the punchline. Because this guy, I'm telling you, I almost picture him getting ready to go to bed, looking in the mirror and just saying, man, like I'm badass at this. Like I can make people believe whatever I want them to believe, and you could tell that this is his type of personality because he's always looking for approval from people around him. So, you could tell that Joe Biden is this kind of guy that brags about who he is, brags about how badass he is. And you could see this from video clips and audio clips from him back in the 80s, when he was 30 years old in the Senate. He was just a real shit talker. Like his shit didn't stink and he was a badass. I would imagine that's how Hunter Biden is too. So Joe Biden is not like this good guy, and he's so good at lying to the people. And this is how Joe Biden has risen to the White House. And I have to say, without the media, he would not be there. You know, Joe Biden was never meant to be in the White House. Joe Biden was always going to be this subpar senator that just stays in politics his entire life and retires and rides off into the sunset. And that was supposed to be his legacy. But now his legacy is toast. And I almost kind of feel bad for him because I know that he didn't want to do this. I know he didn't want to run for president. Somebody pushed him to do it. And you guys all remember Barack Obama telling him, Joe, you don't have to do this. There was a reason why Barack Obama was saying that. And it's because I think Barack Obama knows about all the corruption and scandals involved in his family while he was vice president. Because there is no way, ladies and gentlemen, there is no way all these scandals, all this money, and Hunter Biden flying around with his dad on Air Force Two in all the countries that Joe Biden was overseeing, there's no way the Obama administration did not know about this. And I was trying to find an article and I couldn't find it. I searched forever. There was an article, I think, put up by the Times a long time ago, back, I think maybe in like 2010 or maybe 2012. I think it was right before Obama's second term, and how the media and how this outlet, I think it was New York Times or one of them, it was one of the Pravda outlets. I remember an article discussing how the Obama staffers were concerned about the appearance of improprieties from Joe Biden and his family dealings. And so I know Barack Obama knew about all these scandals. My thing is, when's he going to be dragged into Congress to do testimony? That's what I want to know. Barack Obama is behind all of this. I wouldn't say all of it, but Barack Obama certainly is playing a role or has played a role in all this. And I want to know what Barack Obama knew. It is just mind-blowing to me how we beat around the bush, turned over all these rocks, but we haven't even mentioned Barack Obama. There's only a few people mentioning Barack Obama. Why? I have no idea. It's very weird. And I'm talking about conservative hosts. I hear of a couple people, Sebastian Gorka and Dan Bongino, are the only ones I know that have talked about bringing Barack Obama in for testimony. What did this guy know? And you know what? If they do that, the leftist Democrats, their freaking heads will explode. I think it's the perfect time to subpoena Barack Obama and drag his ass into Congress and have him testify about what he knew, when he knew it, and put it all under oath. I think it's time that Republicans start going on offense here. You know, why is it that Donald Trump is the only one that's being railroaded with our justice system? And so this is why I always say Republicans are just cowards, man. That the entire damn party is so used to getting punched in the face, and they're just so used to being controlled opposition that they never think about going on offense. It's always reactionary with Republicans. And it certainly has been ever since I've been a Republican, which has been a while now. I would say probably, man, I've voted for Obama. I realized I wasn't a Democrat around 2000, I would say 2011, 2012. That's when I kind of really realized that I was politically homeless. And so I didn't vote at all in 2012. And then Trump in 2016. So, like, I want to know what Barack Obama knows. And I think it's time Republicans drag his ass in there, put him under oath, and make him testify about what he knew about the Biden scandals. That's it. And I just don't see Republicans doing that. Hopefully they do. But I say people start demanding it. You know, we're doing great, folks, as far as getting this House Oversight Committee and railing the Republicans and keeping this in the spotlight. I think conservatives and Republicans are doing great. I wish we can get more out of the House as far as, you know, going on offense a little bit, but hey, whatever. I mean, they've had 6-7 months and they've gotten this far. And I'm for sure that Joe Biden, I'm almost for sure that Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee for 2024. There's no way. There's no way. I think what's going to happen, and I hate making these predictions. I don't like making predictions, but I will. And if I'm wrong, then I'll tell you I'm wrong. And if I'm right, then that's why you listen to the show. I think Joe Biden is they're going to start impeachment hearings. The amount of evidence is going to be so vast and so shocking to even Democrats. He's going to have no choice but to resign. And so what he's going to do is, once the Democrats are done with Joe Biden, this is going to be what happens. This is going to be the talks. This is what they're going to be talking about inside the White House. Joe, we got to let you go, man. We got to let you go. And Joe Biden's going to say, in his dementia-ridden mind, he's going to say, what? What do you mean? And we're like, we're going to have to let you go. The scandals are too much. So, we're not going to be able to get you through. We're not going to be able to get you across the finish line again. And so what he's going to do is he's going to pardon himself. He's going to pardon his son. He's going to make a very large pardon list, and he's going to resign. And I think it's going to be, I want to say Michelle Obama, certainly Gavin Newsom. This is what they're saying. I'm not a political tactician. I'm not a political analyst. I'm just telling you from the evidence I've gathered and what I've noticed, I could totally see Michelle Obama coming in. And this is why I say we need to start early on the Barack Obama stuff. Start right now. Get this guy under the spotlight now. Because what's going to happen is they're going to wait to the very last minute. Michelle Obama's going to announce that she's running, and then the House Oversight Committee's not going to have enough time to dig into the Obama corruption and all the Obama scandals, because there was a shitload. Okay? A shitload. And so that's why I think Republicans need to get on the ball on this, get ahead of them, and do not let Democrats outsmart them, just like they always do. And so I urge my listeners to reach out to your congressman if you live in a Republican state. I urge you to contact them and say, what do we know about Barack Obama? Just urge them to start mentioning Barack Obama and how you want some answers about what Barack Obama knew about the Biden scandals. And I think if that trends in Congress, if that trends through the Republicans in Congress, I think we're going to get a subpoena for Barack Obama. And then once that happens, boom, it's over. I'm telling you guys, it is the level of corruption that was happening during the Obama administration is astounding. I don't know if there was ever a more corrupt administration than the Obama administration. All the stuff that we're experiencing now with this giant corrupt Democrat bureaucracy in our government, where it seems like all the government institutions have been overtaken and are controlled by Democrats, that all happened in the Obama administration. These lower appeals courts, all the circuit courts in D.C. are all Obama nominees. All the judges that the J6 defendants, the political prisoners, they all had mostly Democrat judges, Obama appointees. And believe it or not, yes, there was some Trump appointees, but again, that doesn't really matter. They have this thing about, since it's a Trump appointee, they're supposed to have mercy for Republicans. Donald Trump does not know these people personally. When you're appointing that many judges in a 4-year period, you don't have time to sit and read into every single one of these. I know Donald Trump was, he liked to work and he stayed up late and read a lot, but there's no way he had the time to read into all these judges. And so I think it's vital we get ahead of the old Michelle Obama announcement. That's what I think, and I think we'd be in good shape if we can get the Obama administration and all the Obama scandals under the spotlight. So anyways, I want to get into this article because this is crazy. So here's the audio of former Senator Scott Brown when he was on that podcast talking about telling Biden he was going to beat the shit out of him if he groped his wife. Check this out.
Biden has taken a hit in the polls, and especially in the last few months, this thing with his granddaughter really stuck. And also, I think people are irked out about all the hair sniffing and things. And we went overseas, and he especially took a long inhale. And I think women are skeeved out by that stuff. And he's not a good guy. You know him. I mean,
listen, I did know him. I spent quite a bit of time with him. I enjoyed his company, but that's not Joe Biden. We all know the signs. We all know people who have dementia and have the beginning of Alzheimer's, and he's got it. I mean, it's the walk, it's the way he's mumbling, his anger outbursts, and it's a shame that we can't do better, as I said, in this great country. But a lot of people don't want to run because of everything you're seeing now.
Yeah. Hey, I might be imagining this, but when you were on the Herald Radio with us probably 7 years ago, when you got sworn in as senator, was he like hair sniffing Gail or handsy with Gail, or did I imagine?
Yeah. I told him I'd kick the shit up. I told him to stop. So yes. Did
you really go through it again, if you don't mind?
No. It's old news. It's old news. It is. Yes, he didn't act the way I thought he should, and we called him on it, and that's it.
You called him on it to his face, right there.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Sure.
Where's the hot mic for that one?
Yeah,
I know. Wouldn't that be something? Look, guys, that is who Joe Biden is. And this is why it's important to have a honest media. Because if we had an honest media, people would have known about who Joe Biden was from the very beginning. And I'm telling you, we would not be in this situation we're in right now. So 2 things about that audio. Number one is when the former senator was talking about nobody wants to run for president anymore. I knew this was going to happen. I called this out during the Trump administration when the Democrats first started going after him for impeachment. I said, if this is a very slippery slope that the Democrats are going down, because this type of persecution, this type of targeted this type of, targeting and trying to criminalize politics, this type of behavior is going to make people think twice about running for president. Nobody, the founders would not, nobody should have to worry about if they're going to be locked up in prison for the rest of their life by running for president. Okay. And then, the Democrats will say, well, just don't do anything illegal. Did Donald Trump do anything illegal in any of his impeachments? Did he do anything illegal in the Russia collusion hoax? Did he do anything illegal when he got impeached for the Ukraine phone call? It's not about doing things illegal. These people just make shit up. And then they parrot it to their media apparatus, and then the media apparatus brainwashes the people, and then the people believe whatever they say. And then there's the echo chamber. How many people you think still believe in the Russia collusion hoax? A lot. Why? Because the media was never honest with them when they got the whole damn thing wrong. They never came out, they never made any corrections. They never gave their Pulitzer prizes back. And so they start these rumors, they start these lies, these manipulation tactics, and they never retract them. And so I thought that was interesting that he said in that podcast. And the second thing that he talked about was, this isn't Joe Biden. And what he was referring to, what he was insinuating is, this isn't Joe Biden. This is somebody else. This is somebody that has dementia. So the guy we're watching right now, stumbling, fumbling, falling down on the stage, mumbling through speeches, the guy that hasn't done a one-on-one press briefing since November, which is like the first time ever in U.S. history that a president has went this long without giving a personal press briefing, which is just standing up at the podium and answering questions to the American people, to the press. And then he said that we're seeing the signs. A lot of people are, I get that a lot of people make fun of Joe Biden because he's this old, dorky, goofy guy that's fallen down, falling off bikes, tripping up stairs, mumbling and stumbling all over the place. Well, me personally, I think he really actually does have dementia. And it's clear and obvious why they do not want to give this guy a cognitive test. This is what baffles me is when they accused Donald Trump, when they started talking about invoking the 25th Amendment against Donald Trump because of his mental fitness to run and to be in office, to be president. He took a test right away and passed with flying colors. And then that was the end of it. They shut up about it. Why haven't we got a cognitive test from Joe Biden yet? I remember, this conversation happened when he first got elected, his first year in office, and then it just kind of went away. I say the American people, I want a cognitive test. I think the American people deserve to know if their president is mentally fit to be running this country. So where's that test? I say we start demanding a cognitive test. That's another thing that Republicans in the House can do. Start that conversation back up. If you want to run for president, buddy, you give the American people a cognitive test. And I want a real cognitive test. I know people are probably saying, yeah, Stephen, but they'll just make shit up. They'll just cheat or they'll fill in the blanks for him. Okay, but at least let him take it and then let the American people judge to see if they filled it in or not. Because I'm sure it's probably going to end up in a scandal. It's probably going to be some massive cover-up, just like there is with everything. And this is why Joe Biden is struggling. This is why I think Joe Biden's not going to be the nominee. Because it's turned into a 24/7 cover-up operation for Joe Biden. And, there's just not enough staffers and people in the world to, hide Joe Biden from the public. I mean, he's getting ready to campaign. And this guy has aged 20 years since 2020. So they're not going to be able to hide this guy like they did during COVID. They're not going to be able to hide him in a basement. And even if they did, the American people are still going to see this guy's mental decline in just the last 2.5 years. So I think it's going to be impossible for this guy. It's going to be impossible for this administration to continue to cover up for Joe Biden and the corruption, not just the corruption, but his obvious dementia. And so I was curious about this, and so I looked up what the signs of dementia are. And you guys want to hear this? So dementia is a complex condition that affects cognitive function, memory, behavior, and the ability to perform everyday tasks. The signs of dementia can vary from person to person and can depend on the specific type of dementia they are experiencing. However, some common signs to watch for include memory loss. So forgetfulness that affects daily life, such as forgetting recently learned information, important dates, or events. Joe Biden checkmarks that box. How about number 2, difficulty communicating? Trouble finding the right words, following or joining conversations, and repeating phrases or stories. I think Joe Biden pretty much fits that description. All right, number 3, impaired judgment, poor decision-making, difficulty solving problems, and the ability to assess risks. Yeah, I think he pretty much fits that description too. And this one is the most concerning for me, the poor decision-making and the difficulty solving problems and the inability to assess risks. Like, aren't these 3 things like exactly what you want your president to be able to do? These are like basic fundamental tasks that a president should be the best at, because that's why the American people elected him. They elected the president to be a good decision maker. They elected him to be able to solve difficult problems. And most importantly, they elected the president to be able to assess risks, like whether you should pull out of Afghanistan or not. And we all know how that went. And then many, many other decisions, like a Chinese spy balloon traversing our entire country and waiting 5 days to finally shoot it down. So, look, I say Joe Biden fits that description. All right, number 4, disorientation, getting lost in familiar places, losing track of time, and not recognizing people or surroundings. Is this not crazy? I mean, we've all seen Joe Biden not being able to find his way off a stage. We see how disoriented Joe Biden is every single time this guy does a speech. I mean, I've been saying this joke for a long time now that, I mean, it's not really even a joke, But I've been saying, look, every time Joe Biden does a speech, he might as well just turn the teleprompter around so that the people can read it for themselves. I think he'd be a lot better off doing that. And so, I said it at first as a joke, but now I'm serious. I think instead of him doing a speech, they should just have him stand there, look into the camera, and let the American people read the teleprompter. I really do think it would be in his best interest. All right, so he fits that, disorientation. All right, number 5, problems with abstract thinking. Struggling with tasks that involve planning, organizing, and abstract thinking. I don't think we wouldn't know. That's kind of like an inside thing. I really would like to get an interview from some staffers, and I think you will years down the road. So after all this is gone, after this is come and gone, the Trump presidency is done and over with, I think about 10 years down the road, you're going to have staffers come out and write books about how Joe Biden was just unable to do anything in the White House. Like struggling with basic tasks, like brushing his teeth or going to the bathroom or, whatever it is. I really think that those stories are going to come out later down the road. That's another prediction. So that's prediction number 2 on today's show. We'll see. I can almost guarantee that's going to happen. All right, number 6, misplacing items, putting things in unusual places and being unable to retrace steps to find them. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing we probably won't know until after it's all said and done. I think that's another thing staffers are probably going to come out and claim that they noticed when they were working there. Here's a good one, number 7, mood changes, rapid mood swings, irritability, depression, anxiety, and apathy. I think we can all notice the obvious mood swings in Joe Biden. This guy will be sitting there talking to one reporter, and then they'll ask something, and he'll just, we all seen the clips where he just starts yelling, "No!" Just these frequent outbursts of anger from Joe Biden. He's like the angry old man with dementia. That is what we're dealing with right now, and everybody can see it. So, number 8, personality changes, becoming unusually fearful, suspicious, or acting out of character. This is another one that I think is pretty concerning for Americans. Is this guy going to just like break down in the middle of a national security threat? Like, is he just going to start freaking out like he just dropped acid whenever he's got to make a decision whether to send an airstrike or not? This is the kind of stuff that people need to think about when you're talking about electing a guy with dementia. All right? This is the signs of dementia. I'm just reading them to you. All right? I did the research on what dementia is, and this is the list it gave me. So yeah, that's pretty concerning. Like, are we going to start seeing this guy just have a mental breakdown on live TV? Well, I don't know. And then acting out of character. It's hard to tell these types of things because we're not around him 24/7. I guarantee you, when they're about ready to put him in any kind of public situation, they're making sure he is like at his peak performance for that day. That's why all of it's before sundown. You guys heard of sundowners? I think it's called sundowner syndrome. They are putting Joe Biden out there at his peak performance for the day, when he's well rested, when his cognitive ability is at its peak, and he's performing well. And then we get about 5 minutes, and then he's gone. So, I think this is another thing we're going to have to learn from the staffers later down the road. All right, number 9, loss of initiative, losing interest in starting activities, social interactions, or hobbies. We wouldn't know anything about that till later. I don't know if Joe Biden even has any hobbies. Like, what is this guy's hobby? He's been in politics since he was 29 years old. I guess his Corvette, where he keeps classified documents. I don't know. Like, maybe that's his hobby, or maybe that was just a midlife crisis. But either way, he treats classified documents the same way he treats his Corvette. So I guess that's a good thing, maybe a bad thing. I don't know. All right, number 10, issues with motor skills, difficulty with coordination. This is a big one. Issues with motor skills, difficulty with coordination and motor skills, leading to problems like difficulty with balance, walking, and handling objects. I think we can all agree we've seen Joe Biden slip, stumble, fall. I guarantee you that I don't know if anybody's been keeping track of how many times Joe Biden has fell or stumbled or missed a step or whatever it is, but I guarantee you it's the most we've ever seen in U.S. history when it comes to presidents. I guarantee it. I've never seen a president fall down and stumble and get tripped up as much as Joe Biden. I haven't seen it in my lifetime. And I guarantee you, whoever's keeping track is saying the same thing. All right, number 11, difficulty with familiar tasks, struggling to perform tasks that were once routine, such as cooking a meal or getting dressed. This we probably wouldn't know, until later down the road when we hear from staffers. But I would imagine if he fits all the other descriptions in this list, this is probably one of them as well. Number 12, visual disturbances. Trouble interpreting visual information, which might lead to problems with reading, judging distances, and recognizing colors. That's crazy. Problems with reading and judging distances? I don't know, folks. I don't know. I think he fits that description to a T. And then last one here, withdrawal from social activities. Avoiding social interactions due to the challenges of communication and cognition. I mean, come on, folks, come on. There's 12 signs here to look for when looking for dementia, and Joe Biden fits almost every single one of these signs. I mean, almost to a T. This guy has dementia. I'm telling you. This guy has dementia, and I don't know, where are his doctors? Why are we not getting information from his doctors? And again, why have we not got a cognitive test? I think it's extremely important for the people to know if Joe Biden is cognitively fit, mentally fit to be president. I think that's extremely important. I mean, we talked about all the issues. I mean, when you're talking about poor decision-making and difficulty solving problems and the inability to assess risks, I think that's pretty freaking important when you're, the leader of the free world. When you have the codes to the nuclear button. Is it not crazy, the double standard that they've put onto this country? The double standard between Donald Trump and Joe Biden? I mean, it's just crazy. These people were trying to invoke the 25th Amendment on Donald Trump, saying that he was mentally unfit to run for office or mentally unfit to be in the White House. But they're not saying that about Joe Biden, even though he meets all 12 signs of a person having dementia? And yet we're not supposed to question that? Democrats don't want a cognitive test? Come on, man. The American people have a right to see a cognitive test from the President of the United States. I guarantee you right now, I'm going to go ahead and mark it down, 8/12/2023. It will come out that Joe Biden has dementia right now. Right now. Because, look, there's just no other way around it. I know 81-year-olds. I know 90-year-olds. Hell, I know a 100-year-old man that is more cognitively fit than Joe Biden right now. So this is not about age. This is about dementia. This is about Joe Biden's cognitive ability. And I'm telling you, whether it's dementia or I don't know the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's, but it is definitely something. Joe Biden has some kind of cognitive ailment. I don't know what it is, whether it's dementia or what, but the American people can notice this. This is something really obvious about Joe Biden. And this goes for Republicans and Democrats. I think Republicans are more concerned with the corruption and all the bad decision making, the bad policies, whatever it is. The Democrats are concerned with his age and his mental acuity. And that will be what turns Democrats off. That will be what prevents a Democrat from voting for Joe Biden. When they get a cognitive test from Joe Biden, or, they don't even need a test. I think at this point, it's safe to say that the people do not need a cognitive test to know that Joe Biden has some kind of cognitive disability right now, whether it's dementia or whatever. I don't think the American people need a cognitive test because they would probably just lie on it anyways. They'd probably just have a doctor fill it out. Who knows? Or they would cover it up, whatever the case is. It would lead into another scandal, most likely. Because everybody knows that Joe Biden is suffering from some kind of cognitive disability. Something is going on with Joe Biden. Okay? You could say age, but it's much more than age. This is something going on with his brain. Like I said, we just read all 12 signs of dementia, and Joe Biden meets all 12 signs. Joe Biden meets the 8 signs that we could see just with our own eyes. The other 4 signs would be something that his staffers would have to tell us. But I guarantee you 10 years from now, when all this political environment's passed and Joe Biden is out of office or wherever it is, staffers are going to come out and say, yes, this guy was hardly able to do anything. He could not tie his shoes. He could not go to the bathroom by himself. He could not go up the stairs or whatever it is. He could not tie his shoes. He forgot our names. Sometimes he'd forget his own name. Like, is this really like what the American people have to deal with? Also, Democrats can retain power? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And so this is why I think Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee for 2024. And I think it's imperative that Republicans get ahead of what is getting ready to come, because Democrats certainly have something up their sleeve. They're going to kick Joe Biden to the curb whenever all this corruption gets figured out, whenever all this corruption surfaces and Joe Biden gets articles of impeachment drawn up on him. He's going to pardon himself, his son, and he's going to resign. And somebody else is going to fill in that position, whether it's Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom or whatever the case is. But if it's Michelle Obama, then we need to start putting the spotlight on how corrupt the Obama administration is. Because the only thing a Michelle Obama administration would be is just another Obama administration. And the Biden administration was just a third term of Barack Obama. So you're talking about 4 terms of Obama policy. This is why Barack Obama stayed in Washington, D.C. That's why. And so a lot of people are saying that Barack Obama is running the show and, he's the ringleader and all this. He's the puppet master. And he may be. I don't think it's him by himself. I think there's other people that are calling the shots around here. I think there's other people. I don't think it's one individual. I think it's a cabal of people that are running and that are pulling all the strings in this administration, because it's certainly not Joe Biden. Like I said, the guy clearly has dementia. So it's clear that there's a group of people behind the scenes running the show. Okay? It can't be Joe Biden. And what concerns me is that the media is going to do everything in their power to get Joe Biden across the finish line. And what concerns me is Republicans are going to get caught off guard by not getting ahead of future potential Democrat candidates. And I'll be honest, I think they need to just let RFK Jr. just do his thing, man. I don't know why the Democrat Party is trying to stifle RFK Jr. I don't know why they're trying to censor him. He is a Democrat. That is what he says. He's running as a Democrat. And if the Democrats claim to be the defenders of democracy, then they would allow RFK Jr. to compete with Joe Biden. Give the country a chance, man. For God's sakes, let the guy run. If he's going to beat Joe Biden, then that's called democracy. Deal with it. They don't want RFK Jr. in there because RFK Jr. it will come after the establishment. And that is exactly what this election is going to be about. I've been saying this for weeks, months. This is not an election about Republicans and Democrats. This is an election about the establishment versus the people. And they don't want a candidate like RFK Jr. in there ruining their damn club. They don't want RFK Jr. in there coming in and crashing their party. And so this is why they're going to censor him, they're going to stop him, and they're not going to allow him to run, just like they did with Bernie Sanders. So I think if the defenders of democracy really believed in democracy, then they would allow the guy to run. I mean, it is clear and obvious these people do not care about this country. They do not care about this country's people. If they are willing to put a dementia-ridden old man in the White House for a second term for another 4 years. A guy, think about this. You've seen how much Biden has aged just in 2.5 years. Think about another 6 years. There is no way. This guy will not even know where he's at. He will be on stage confused. They won't even show him on camera. Okay, we won't even see him. They'll have like a Karine Jean-Pierre come out and will be the president. Or they'll have to invoke the 25th Amendment. They need to start talking about invoking the 25th Amendment now. Because this is exactly what the 25th Amendment was for times just like this. Was for times when we had a president like Joe Biden that has dementia. Okay? So I actually, there was a lot more I wanted to talk about, but I just wanted to get on here. I seen this article. I was scrolling through the news, and I wanted to read this to you guys about this guy. I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this former senator essentially telling Joe Biden he was going to kick the shit out of him if he groped his wife again, which is kind of crazy. But I really wanted to touch base on who Joe Biden really is, and not just his dementia, but him as a person. He's a really awful person, man. And I wanted to dive into more details in another episode, but I was getting that show together, and I came across this article, and I just felt like I wanted to get in here and do it and play you this audio. I thought the audio was pretty stunning. I never knew that this guy said that to Joe Biden. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting ready to work on another show. I'm going to get some content out to you all weekend. I'm going to have all kinds of stuff to talk about. I got a ton of stuff to talk about with the U.S. Attorney, well, now Special Counsel David Weiss. That was a big bombshell that dropped on Friday. And you guys know how I feel about them dropping stuff on Friday. They do that on purpose. They drop shit on Friday so that the whole weekend goes by and then people forget about it by Monday. But we're not going to be forgetting about it here. We're going to be talking about it. I got some actually pretty interesting, a pretty interesting theory where the Democrats may have just burnt their own bridge when it comes to if they planned on using U.S. Attorney Weiss as a cover-up. You know, because Democrats are always setting the standards for everything now. It's not even hypocrisy, it's hierarchy. And since Democrats set the standards back during the J6 committee, they actually made some rules. They actually set some precedent that would allow the House Oversight Committee to thoroughly investigate Hunter Biden and anybody they want based off the precedent that the Nancy Pelosi handpicked J6 committee set. So they set some precedent. You know, they did things that was never done before in the J6 committee as far as, you know, getting judges and getting subpoenas for certain information, essentially, you know, stripping Donald Trump of his attorney-client privilege, all kinds of stuff that they did. They set some wild-ass precedent during the J6 committee hearing, that Stalinist show trial. And so now I think it's going to come back and bite them in the ass if they planned on using David Weiss as a cover-up. John Solomon over at Just the News, he's got a different theory. He thinks David Weiss is going to be a straight shooter now, as far as doing a proper investigation into Hunter Biden. I'm sorry, I love John Solomon, but I just think he's mistaken on this one. I think this is 100% pure cover-up. There's no coincidences in politics. These people know exactly what they're doing. You're talking about a whole government effort to cover up for the Biden family, cover up for the corruption of the deep state and the Washington establishment swamp, the Uniparty, while also simultaneously persecuting Joe Biden's chief political rival. So I don't think that David Weiss is there to do a proper investigation of Hunter Biden. I don't. I think he's there for a reason. He's there to try and cover shit up. He's there to try and delay everything that they can for another year or year and a half for the election. And I just said this to somebody on Twitter. Everything you see coming out of this administration from here on out is going to be 100% election interference. That's what it's going to be. Everything they do, any information you're getting, any information that they're releasing, any kind of tactics they're doing or court cases or anything that this administration does from here on out is going to be directly targeted towards the 2024 election. All the propaganda you're going to see, we're going to see a massive propaganda campaign coming from the Biden administration. We're going to see more weaponization of government, more weaponization of information and information warfare, more lawfare. It's going to be insane. This next year and a half is going to be insane. The establishment is in a fight for its life, and it does not want to give up the club it made for itself the last 60 years. So it's going to be fighting back pretty hard. But I think the American people are going to come out on top on this one. I really do. I truly believe the American people see right through this bullshit. I think the American people, and I'm not talking just Republicans. I'm not talking just middle-of-the-road Republicans or rhinos. I'm talking Democrats. Democrats are starting to see right through all the bullshit, and they're starting to see that anybody that the establishment is coming after, must be for a pretty good reason. And so if there's one thing I think I've been noticing if in the last 3 years, at least the last 2.5 years since Biden has gotten in office, since Biden was elected, or you could say elected, since Biden was installed in office, the overall narrative that I'm getting from the American people right now, and that means moderate Democrats, Republicans, is that people are just becoming anti-establishment. People are done with this damn establishment, man. People are done with the corruption in D.C. People are done paying high taxes that are just getting spent on nothing. People are done dealing with the bullshit. And so I really do think, like, people are really going to be voting against the establishment this coming election. That's what I think this election is going to be about. It's going to be the establishment versus the people. And I think the people are going to come out on top. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm going to leave this article. It was actually this Gateway Pundit article by Jim Hoft. I'm going to leave it in my podcast description. It's actually a long article. I only just played you the audio from it. But it's a pretty long article, pretty much about what we talked about who Joe Biden is and other circumstances where he was groping and sniffing, groping women and sniffing kids inappropriately. Just, it goes through a lot of different things where Joe Biden was just doing inappropriate stuff to people. So it's, if you want to read it, I'll leave it there in the podcast description. You can go back and read it. And yeah, if you want to get a hold of me, you got any questions, you want me to read anything, you want me to look at anything, you can just send me an email at steventorielloshow@gmail.com. I will read your emails and I will respond. I read all your emails. And you know what? I think now is a good time for me to thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for tuning into the show. Thank you guys for downloading the show. Thank you guys for sharing the show. I know you've been sharing the show because I could see it in the analytics. I could see the numbers, and I really appreciate it. You guys are, this is what we're here for. I'm not here to sell you stuff. I'm not here to sell you slippers and pillows. I am here because I feel like I've been called to duty, and I feel like it was my duty to offer anything that I could in this fight for our country. We are most certainly in the beginning days of a revolution. The revolution is here, and I just feel like I need to do something. And so that's why I started the show, because I feel like in 2020, people were just uninformed. People were not informed with what was going on. And I think the more people that talk about what is happening, the more people that get involved and get active with politics, the more we'll start to see this country get back on track. Because an informed population is vital for the governance of a country. It is vital to keep a tyrannical government under control. And so when people stop paying attention to their politics, when people stop paying attention to their government, this is exactly what happens. And so I just feel like I needed to get on, start a show, and just talk about all this stuff. And we're 1.5 years from election, and there is a lot of stuff that people need to get up to date on. We're dealing with a very, very wild and bizarre and psychologically damaged party, the Democrat Party. And I'm not talking about all Democrats. I'm talking about the left. The leftists are broken. Okay, the Democrat leftists, the radical leftists are broken. You can call them Marxists, you can call them tyrants, Bolsheviks, bootlickers, whatever you want to call them. I would even say Nazis at this point because, some of the behavior we're witnessing is pretty Nazi-like behavior. So, but, we're not going to go into that. I discussed that a few episodes ago. So I just, they're never going to come around. But if you get involved and get active, then maybe, just maybe, the sane, moderate Democrats, the rational ones that still have reason, that still have the ability to be rational, I think they'll come along. I'm starting to see a trend. I'm starting to see the overall picture. And 2024 is going to be the establishment versus the people. And the people are most definitely tired of the establishment and all the damage that it's caused this country and her people for the last 50, 60 years. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I want you guys to have a good day. Have a great weekend. Don't work too hard on Sunday. I know Sunday is time for rest, but we all got to get stuff done on Sunday. I certainly use it for doing stuff around the house, but don't work too hard. Maybe sit back and chill for a little bit. and kind of reminisce on the good things in life. I think Sundays are a great day to kind of sit back and be appreciative for the things that you do have and just love the ones around you. And I think gratuity is the top trait you can have to lead a happy life. So I think Sundays is a perfect day for people to just sit back, be grateful for what you have, and, forget about the things you don't have. Love the people around you and just be happy. That's what it's all about, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good day. Have a great weekend. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.